Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 5th of April, 2020. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today is Zachary Burgess.
Hello.
And Robert Kemp.
Yup. There you go. No funny things to say on your intro there, Zach.
Not this time. Not that anything that I ever say is funny, I don't think, in the intro segments.
We just decided that in the last video we recorded. It was just like, does anything land? No, it never lands.
No, it doesn't land, does it? Slightly dejected sounding hello.
There's a remote podcast number 2 in a row.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've had to do 2 in a row like this.
Well, I don't think there's any end in sight.
No, that's the scary thing. I've been on mandatory holiday for a week and a half.
Really?
Yeah, because my company is stupid.
How does that work? Is it actual holiday?
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, it's enforced.
Furlough?
No. I think furlough would make more sense, but it's not. It's
furlough. You get paid, right?
Well, I'm still getting paid.
You get paid by holiday as well, but it uses up your holiday.
Exactly, and there lies the problem. It's like no one's particularly happy about it. It's just a.
That means when this is all over, you can't go on holiday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can, but it will be classed as unpaid if I run out.
This is bullshit.
Oh God, Bixby, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, it's back, is it? We haven't heard that one happening for a while.
Yeah. What the hell woke you up?
Bixby is indignant to the rights of workers being infringed.
Didn't quite understand that.
Who
Well,
knew?
neither did I, Bixby. No! I said it. Stop!
Said it again.
Stop! The translation just came up with no.
I mean, Bixby's been on enforced holiday for years, so...
Oh, yeah. I'm amazed. I thought I turned that off. All right, okay.
It's the first thing anyone does when they get a Samsung phone, right?
So, yep, turn it off. It's not very good. At least it sounds vaguely English now. Vaguely. Than when it launched. It wasn't just an American accent, it was like a really badly speech synthesized American. It just didn't work at all. It was awful.
So how long are you going to be on enforced holiday until you run out of
holiday?
holiday?
I don't know. There's a project that's been greenlit for dev, but I'm waiting on... I'm dependent on other bits of work being finished before I can start working on it. So I'm currently sat here waiting for that bit of work to be finished, and then I'll be told I can commence work again. But in the meantime, Naomi has taken over the office. So,
oh, right, okay.
Which means I'm going to have the awkward kick her out process if I need to start working again, because it's going to involve equipment and things. It's not just...
Oh, like hardware?
Yeah, it's not just code on a laptop, this next job. I'm going to need actual hardware to do things, and it's...
Is it going to get delivered?
Oh, no, I've already got it. I brought it home with me. Like, it was planned. Like, because we thought at first it was just all going to be work from home, and then the company had a bit of a... Seems like they just had a panic when it's...
Right.
Okay, put it into some context. That like the dev department is actually a fairly small part of the business. So it's like, the rest of it is mostly production. It's a factory and stuff, or several factories. And so most of this is driven from that side of the business because production's had to stop.
Right.
And so orders can't be processed, so we're not making much money. And then, or probably not, I don't know how the books work. So yeah, but our side could have carried on. And in fact, there are elements of our work that are doing all right because people are buying some of our stuff to get through the isolation. So it's, yeah.
That works. Yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of, except for what they've then told us to do. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I don't get the financials of putting us on holiday rather than on furlough because the government will pay for furlough. The company doesn't have to pay for that. Anyway, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I can't claim to understand the finances of it. But that's what I'm doing, which means I've had a lot of time to play some games.
The practical upshot is I'm now doing a podcast about video games with two people who have nothing to do but play video games.
Pretty much, yeah.
Literally, because they can't even go outside.
Yeah, I can do it.
Not that I can either, but I do have to work.
I feel like I've seen a lot more runners since this isolation thing.
Oh, yeah, completely. Everyone has. Yeah.
Someone just ran past my living room window topless with his shirt tied around his neck for some reason.
No. Oh, because is he using it as a makeshift mask?
I don't know. It's just around his neck.
Around the neck. Well, usually it's tied around the waist, not around the neck.
It was a bit, unique. I've not seen that before. I don't know if it was even tied. It might have just like taken his arms out of the sleeves, maybe, and was just hoisted around his neck, like like you've just put it on, but not all the way down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more runners. It's ridiculous trying to dodge them in the London parks. It's insane.
Oh, I imagine.
Like,
because you're right next to one as well.
It's hilarious. The running pattern is like this ridiculous weaving between people.
So is there no like standard keep to the left or keep right rule?
Not in Finsbury Park. Fucking hell. Nightmare. And the problem is that people run at different speeds, right? So you can't yeah. But like Finsbury Park is ideal for running, really. I mean, it's not the great park, but it has like a giant, basically a road with no traffic all the way around it. Like the width of a normal road, complete with pavements, like wide. Yeah. But it's still hard to.
Because that's an emergency route only, isn't it? Around right all the way around it.
Well, how do you mean for vehicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's used for like you do get like park maintenance vehicles on it, but also it's used for like bringing in people for events. I don't really know why there's a giant road in Finsbury Park, but there is. Anyway, it's weird. It's a weird park. It's weird, but yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing because I'm just far enough away. Well, I suppose I'm not. I could for a long run, I could run 2 miles to a park and then do a bit of a run around it and then come back. But I haven't been. I've just been doing like little 5K loops.
Yeah, 5Ks.
I don't know why I did a nearly 5 mile loop, but I don't know. I'm a bad self motivator. I know that the isolation is making people motivate to get out at all, which is nice. But I'm not really pushing myself very much on my own.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a problem.
Though.
I mean, it's all right.
Keep up your level of fitness or whatever, then
yeah, it's all right. My 5Ks are still my average, so they haven't really got better or worse, which is okay. But
the speed, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still trying to get to 5K.
Come on. Yeah. So, Noma's predicting you'll probably beat me, and then I'll be very angry by the time you actually come to a park run here.
Well, we shall see. Probably not. I don't know. I'm
not very. Everything other people try with me, though, isn't it? It's just what happens in mine. I say, I'll introduce someone to. Oh, you're better than me. Oh, all right.
I just think I'm not. I don't know. I'll find out about this, but I'm not. I don't have that much stamina for this kind of thing. So basically, if I make it to 5K, I might beat you, but I might just give up. You know what I mean? Or 10K or whatever the length is. My brother does 8K and he's changed it to 10K now, like 3 times a week.
Oh, jeez.
I know. And I'm thinking if Stephen could do it, I'm sure I could do it. But then I'm like, Laura was talking about Peep Show. There's a clip where Mark tries running, and he's like, he starts running, and he's like, "Wow, I'm actually good at this. This is amazing. I never thought I'd be good at anything sporty. Maybe I've finally found the thing I'm good at. Like my legs are pumpy. It's great. Oh, is that a stitch? Oh no, this is awful. Oh, I've got to stop. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, I can't believe 10 seconds ago I was such an idiot to think that I would be good at this. Yeah, and I went and
that's exactly what it feels like.
Exactly. And I looked up that clip, and it was filmed in Clissold Park, which is the other park that I go to. So I was like, hang on a minute, this is literally where I run sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
It's funny.
I mean, I get that even now. It's like it'll normally be like a few minutes in, and suddenly I'll start feeling something. Like one of my ankles will start being like, oh, that's not right. What's that about? And then it takes me like another good 10 minutes to sort of be like, oh, I'm all right now. I'm knackered, but I'm all right. I can keep going. I don't get this thing like a lot of the runners do, where it's like, oh, it only takes me a couple of miles to settle in, and I'm like, sorry, what?
Settle in?
Yeah. Some of them take a couple of miles before they really get going, and it's just like, all right. Can't say I felt that.
Yeah, not yet anyway. Man. Zeg, how's the lockdown life affecting you? Drastic change to your lifestyle, I imagine.
Yeah, basically nothing at all. It's like I don't go out once a week when I usually would go out.
Yeah, you're missing your pizza quota.
Well, I mean, pizza at home in tribute of the normal pizza.
In tribute.
Do Domino's still deliver your way?
I haven't checked, but I think we've had the things through the letterbox from them recently, so probably.
Nice.
You
Also,
go
you've got
out
the,
for
you've got
for
the like
walks.
olive tree in Needham as well, which is like nice
No,
and
that's
nice.
closed.
That's closed,
at the
right?
Oh, has it?
Well, of course, it's got to, right?
Well,
Not every takeaway is closed.
also, before this whole thing, it was being currently rebuilt. Like they're
Oh,
completely
okay.
rebuilding that entire building, basically.
It's like Wong's and stuff open for takeaway.
I
Must
don't
be.
know.
Oh yeah, you don't eat Chinese, do you?
No.
What do you
Which
eat?
would much to Gnome's annoyance. Because it means that's not been a takeaway option here for a long
Well,
time.
you should have been doing that every week for the last month.
Well, no, because I still have my needs.
so now it's your fault, not my
It is,
fault.
Yeah. The
So,
blame
Zach,
is shifted.
are you going out for walks and stuff?
Not really.
No.
Not. I mean, not any more than I would anyway.
Which I thought you did. I thought you had your little weird MP3 player and you went out for walks and stuff around Needham like we used to.
Sure, and I mean, it's
Don't call
getting
those little Sony Walkmans weird. They're cool.
it's getting to the right time of year for it now, where it's like not hot or cold.
I have thought about finding where my Sony Walkman is several times because they're so light and small and tiny. They're better for running
Oh, what than a phone?
carrying a phone around. Yeah.
Just going to need to go back to like an iPod Nano or something.
Yeah.
I need to try streaming audio from my stupid watch.
I mean, yeah, I can do that as well, but I don't have any Bluetooth headphones because, and honestly, like running in headphones, I've kind of gone off it massively. Unless you've got ones that actually like either hook over your ears or a big pair over the top.
Yeah,
because they're constantly falling out of my ears otherwise.
That's no good.
And I'm quite a sweaty person anyway when I do any kind of physical exertion, so it's like my ears sweat, and so they're just falling out like through man lube. Wait, no, that sounds worse.
Ew. Well, Rob, I'm trying to join you in Beardland, but it's going to take fucking months.
Oh, bring it.
I'm so glad no one can see me right now. It's going to take months before it looks even semi-okay. Whenever I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, that looks terrible. I would never actually go out looking like that.
Gnome's annoyed that my main hair is... She's less worried about the beard at this point, because I haven't been shaving during the lockdown, which is like even less than normal. So it's slightly bushier than it would normally be. And it's... But my hair is going through the awkward middle mullet phase, and I can't do anything about it.
Right.
And it's like it's sort of, my hair does that. It's like it looks great when I first get it cut. Then it goes through the awkward middle mullet, and then it gets a little bit better again as it lengthens. And it's
and there's nothing you can do. Right,
I can't just cut it.
So you can't go and get it cut.
So. I tend not to anyway, but like for some reason it's bothering Gnome this time.
Is she wanting to cut it herself or something?
Oh God, no! I'm not going to let her near it.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah,
I'm going to go all 2006 on her and like when it was. Do you remember when my hair was that long?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. It's not. Watch out, Sonic 06. It's Rob 06.
Rob 06. Yeah. Where I can drape it over Rick and so my brother, so it looks like it's his hair. That long.
Oh God. Everyone's going to look very weird when they come out of this thing with super long hair.
At least it's not like coming out of a cave. We don't have those sort of like blinking eyes moment. And we're like, oh my gosh, sunlight.
No, not if we're allowed to go out for a run, but that's the only reason.
There was, on my estate, within the last week, one of the houses, I don't know quite where on the estate, but I could smell it. They hosted a barbecue, and then I looked on the estate forum on Facebook, and it's like, yep, it was not just a barbecue, but it was a gathering.
No, break it up.
Lots of people. Yeah, the cops eventually turned up.
Good.
But it's like, oh, how can you be so stupid? Honestly.
I've seen reports of cops having to tip over barbecues and stuff to.
Yeah, I saw that.
That sounds like that's going to be a problem, though. Like, if you can't get people to go away just by turning up, how does tipping over the barbecue really make that much difference?
I know. I think that was just.
I mean, if it's a coal barbecue, then that's quite a hassle, right? If it's a gas barbecue, less so. Probably quite dangerous, actually. But
I might have a barbecue here for me and my flatmate for two.
I mean, I thought about doing that. Like I'd have to clean the barbecue, which is like the horrible 6-month cycle of like it's like during the winter it's just been left in whatever state it was, and so cleaning it at the start of the year is nightmarish. But
You got plenty of time.
yeah, it's true. Well, I might actually be working next week, but yeah, still got time.
I have not got any more time. I mean, I just sleep through the extra time I would otherwise have from not commuting, I think. And also, like, I don't know, obviously this is my own fault, but like, you have to watch it. But like, reading coronavirus news causes anxiety, which isn't conducive to doing anything.
Sure.
You need to watch it.
You need to not watch it.
Exactly.
But then that's how people host barbecues. We'll just break out. Stop watching the news. You'll just break out into a barbecue.
Instantly.
Yeah.
As soon as you turn away from the news, suddenly it's a barbecue.
Barbecues
You
break
just
out.
walk out into the back garden and there's just a load of people there and you're like, the hell? It's like, you shouldn't be here, but it smells delicious. My chat outline. You shouldn't be here, but you smell delicious.
You shutting up who shouldn't be there. That's the main problem with that outline. You shouldn't be here. Fuck off.
But yes, this is all entertaining, at least.
Maybe.
I mean, it's quite funny watching television struggle with it. We were watching Saturday Kitchen yesterday, and which I find amazing in the first place. They were still filming Saturday Kitchen in the studio.
Right.
They only had two
that?
people presenting, but they were stood miles apart from each other while they were doing it. But
How do
the
you
guest,
possibly avoid people when you're like behind the scenes, like in a studio?
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the only one that makes sense is like the modern news studios where all the cameras are robots.
Sure, yeah.
So the news presenter is just pretty much standing in a room entirely by themselves, almost.
Yeah, that's kind of the things that are daily shows, for instance. So they're probably always running robot cameras or prompters and people in other rooms anyway, in galleries miles away. Sort of my line of work, so yeah, I know that a bit well.
So takeaway. Oh, no, sorry, kitchen. Saturday Kitchen.
Yeah, it was strange. So they had a couple of they had their guest and their wine guy on a remote link, I think through Zoom, who are suddenly the hottest.
Suddenly the hotness.
The hotness, yeah.
I did try Zoom for one call.
Oh yeah, I've used it.
Because I mostly used all the other ones, and like I could see why people were using that one because it's just the fastest to switch between people when they talk, and it's the best gallery view of.
Oh
everyone.
yeah, the fact
it's
that
just,
you can switch it to the 7x7 grid of everyone.
Yeah,
like,
it's just the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, Google Hangouts is okay.
I like Hangouts. Hangouts is fine.
Yeah, but I could see why people prefer Zoom, actually. The moment I used it, I was like, okay, this is fair enough. Installing it, of course, you're like, what? This is dodgy. What the fuck?
Oh, yes. Yeah, especially if you're installing it on a Mac.
Yeah,
that's been a thing on Twitter.
It's basically malware, but then you go to use it, and it's like, well, this is actually better than Hangouts.
I'm not sure. I ran a little quiz for some of our friends, like over Hangouts, and it was kind of it didn't go technically 100% well, but that was because of problems on my end on the PC side. I had troubles with the audio sourcing, and I was trying to use virtual audio cables so I could pipe music and sound through the same channel and stuff like that. And Hangouts had a bit of a problem with that. It wasn't enjoying the piped audio, which didn't make a huge amount of sense. But it did mean that I could use a bit of trickery with OBS and feed OBS as a camera into Hangouts, which was nice. So I could do things like changing scene to show pictures and things. And
that's cool.
And run a scoreboard or do live Googling for things people weren't sure about. Live Googling.
I mean,
you could do that through share screen on most things anyway, but it was nice because I could also organize it. Streaming quiz. Speaking of which, Zach and I tried Steam Remote Play.
Oh, yeah?
It didn't work very well.
Although I think that's more of a problem of my end rather than Steam, the whole concept of it.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
It's like it works fine until it doesn't, which is my internet problem, apparently. When I'm streaming anything, Like, even if I, because I was technically receiving the stream when we were doing it, but I know from experience when I've been trying to stream things, it does a similar thing where my internet just does a weird thing where it like locks up.
We tried it the other way around as well, and it was just too skippy, too crunchy. I couldn't. It was basically.
Well, we only tried it
impossible.
for like a couple of seconds.
I know, but it was like the video just wasn't smooth. It was impossible. Like it would just freeze up, it would macro block everywhere. It was not good. So at least you had some positive experience the other way around.
Because I mean, when I tried, not the playing remote play together, but just running a game on my system remotely from Rob's house, that seemed to work perfectly fine.
Yeah, we did try that, didn't we? It seemed okay.
So I don't know if like the control information is somehow, like there's two information streams and it's messing with my router or whatever. I don't know. But yes, it works fine apart from when it doesn't.
Which made making a video kind of problematic. It didn't. We've got. You'll see it. The next video to go up will be this. Will be our experiments. It's as much about Steam Remote Play as it is about Assault Android Cactus.
Yep. And then probably subsequent videos we're just going to play like regular games you can play over the internet and just record one view or the other view. Yeah,
try and just either do normal online connections, or the alternative is like maybe either Dan or we can, if it doesn't affect Zach too much, then we can do like, you can stream to YouTube privately. So if you stream to YouTube privately and I gave YouTube the link, for instance, the latency is on YouTube's what it calls ultra low latency mode is still about 5 seconds. That's
ultra low latency. That's why even call it that?
But it's possibly manageable, I guess, for doing this sort of content. So maybe we'll figure that out. Because the audio will still be like low latency, so we'll still be talking properly. It's not like we'll be talking over each other. It's just that you'll see things a little later than what I do, or whoever is streaming out. So maybe we can figure that out for the next video.
Cool. Right, I think it's time for the news.
Such as it is.
What's going on in the world of video games unrelated to viruses?
Not a huge amount. We're losing The Last of Us Part 2 for some amount of time. Because it's they've said, we were very nearly there, but it's still not where we want it for release, and because everything's now much more difficult than it was before, we can't say when we're going to get it done by. So we're not happy for it to go out just yet, so we're not putting it out. Please wait. And that's kind of what they've said. Like, we don't know when it's coming out now. They haven't said it, given us a date, which I think was mid-May before.
I mean, okay. I mean, fair enough. But on the other hand, lots of people bored wanting to play video games.
Sure.
I reckon, like Doom, Animal Crossing, and Final Fantasy are probably going to do pretty well out of this.
Yeah, I imagine they'll do pretty well.
It's weird because this is the entertainment you want. Like movies are screwed. Video games, great.
Well, yeah, it's like it struck me as odd that Pixar's latest film, Onward, is going to come out on Disney Plus like imminently.
Yeah,
because they couldn't put it out to cinemas.
They're all trying to do that, but then they're also trying to charge too much.
Well, yeah, there is that. Also, you need Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, to start with.
Tempted at all by Disney Plus? I noticed it's like they make it relatively cheap.
It's relatively cheap, but I just still don't have Netflix, so I'd probably get Netflix over Disney Plus.
So much more on Netflix. It's ridiculous. And everyone was watching this Tiger King thing, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I saw some tweets about that.
It's completely insane.
Is it literally about someone who just keeps tigers?
Yeah, but it's so much more nuts than that. Like,
okay.
I think there's clearly a lot of meth involved, even if they don't go into it. Like, oh my god! And the documentary is put together Like there's no narration or anything, but it's taking something that is already completely insane and it's kind of sensationalizing it on top as well through the editing. So it's like, because it's telling like a weird story through the way it's edited. So it's like amping up something that's already nuts.
Has it got like reality TV style music stings or something then? Like lots of backward, lots of those raising symbols that, you know, for some reason are in every like terrible reality show. Like
it's got a lot of shots of the people involved, like kind of in slow motion or like sort of blinking at the camera and stuff. I don't know.
It's like funk music playing. Or...
I don't know. I mean, it's crazy, but everyone seems to be watching it. What I want to see is like apparently, Louis Theroux did a documentary with one of the guys from it like 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I need to watch that because that will be like a normal Louis Theroux style, relatively measured take on the same subject.
So you can find out whether the myth is there or was there 10 years ago, I guess.
I mean, some of the people in it don't really have much in the way of teeth left, so...
So you can go back and see whether they had teeth there.
Yeah, that's true.
Casual bong in the background, is that what you're looking for?
I don't know.
Just
anyway,
lying on a surface somewhere.
You kind of have to watch it just because it's so insane.
All right. Did you watch the end of Picard?
No, I noped out of Picard after 3 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm one of those. I mean, I don't know what happened to me. Like, I was never a Trekkie originally. Like, when we were all watching Star Trek Voyager on Sky One, because it was the only thing that was on, and Stargate or whatever, back in the 90s or whatever, I was never a Trekkie. But then at some point, I watched The Next Generation. And I guess I became a Trekkie, and now I'm one of those annoying ones who are like, "This isn't Star Trek." Like literally everything. I
know exactly what you mean. It's like the whole thing doesn't feel very Star Trek. It's like it's not that. They do a lot of decent throwbacks, and and it definitely picks up. I think from episode 5. I think there's a couple of twists that go in, and you're just like, oh, now what? But not in a Star Trekky way.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can't get over that, then it's going to be a problem for you for the whole thing.
I can't deal with it. Like, if you're going to make something sci-fi that is not Star Trek, don't put fucking Picard in it. Like, just make Battlestar Galactica. That was great. You know, that is not a Star Trek show. You know,
there are things about it that I definitely dislike quite intensely. I mean, I'm not a Trekkie either. I can't say I know as much about the series as you guys do or anything like that. But like TNG is just a classic, right? That style of Trek is just what I like.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I will yield to the alternative reality universe of the films, like the recent 3.
Yeah, I liked the first one of those, and the third one, Beyond, was quite fun, I thought.
It's fun in a completely different sort of way.
I don't like
the middle one's a bit was it Khan and all that.
Stupid.
But I will yield to those as being like, they get away with it because of the alternative reality stuff. It's fine. I can deal with that. This isn't. This is supposed to be like the Trek universe, but it feels like the whole Trek universe has fallen very fast. If you know what I mean, it's like.
But this isn't the only one, because there's that whole Discovery show, which is where this really This is what New Trek is like, right? And I just don't like it. And then there's the real weirdness of what's it called, the Orville, and
which I still kind of want to watch.
It's quite good, weirdly. it's like because it was kind of billed originally as like a kind of
spoof, right?
Yeah, spoof, like maybe Galaxy Quest style, like a Family Guy take on Star Trek. But it is not that. Very quickly, it becomes basically a cosplay of The Next Generation. Like, it has the occasional like dick joke in it, just to try and keep it to throw it back to that. But in general, it plays it fairly straight, and it's exactly like TNG, but not as good. It's really weird. But it's such a massive contrast to like Discovery, which is totally different, or even Picard, right? Which is so the Orville is way closer to TNG than Picard is.
what I suppose I can say now, if you're not going to watch it, and this isn't a super spoiler. Well, it's a little bit spoilery.
Yeah, I can't be bothered to watch it, so go ahead.
Boy, does it go Mass Effect.
Right, yeah, I heard that.
So Mass Effect. Like, cribbing almost every major bullet point from the storyline.
From the Mass Effect story.
Yeah.
So what role does the Borg play? Are they like the Reapers, or are they...
No. As it turns out, the Borg are kind of just there.
Or are they like the Geth?
No, well, yeah. In some ways, a little Gethy. But not really, because it's mostly about Jerry Ryan's character, 7 of 9, and less about the Borg than just her.
Does it make it that like the Romulans created the Borg or something like that?
No.
Okay,
No. It doesn't do that. It's more the secret AI threat from beyond the galaxy, shall we say?
Oh, that's Reaper style. Right?
It totally has the Reapers, yeah.
Okay. Oh, so the Romulans are afraid of
the Reapers,
of
yeah.
robots because they're afraid of the Reapers.
Except they don't know that because they haven't been able to read the vision correctly, like Shepard can't.
Oh, okay.
There's so many parallels. It's crazy.
The secret, because the whole thing about the Romulans is that they only split off from the Vulcans like relatively recently, like millions of years ago, but not like billions of years.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So whereas the Reaper cycle is like every so often, right?
So it's not like a cycle. It's not the same thing as like the Reapers coming to eat us or anything like that.
Right.
They are, well, okay, super spoiler mode. We're already there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Skip a few minutes if you don't want to hear. But yeah, they are basically on the edge of the galaxy watching AI and the cycles that AI has been through within this galaxy, because it always builds up to a certain point and then always gets beaten down in some ways by a huge war between AI and the humans, and that's what the Romulans think they see.
Right.
Is that? However, it's not that. The AI is waiting for the AI for what do they call it? Like synths, I suppose, in the universe to get to the point where they are aware enough and the humans are scared of them enough that they can ask for help. So effectively, the synths can just put up a beacon and say, "Hey guys, we're ready for you." And these Reapers basically come out and destroy all organic life to let the synths live, effectively.
Okay. And this has happened before? It's not a cycle.
It's not made hugely obvious.
So the robots just have allies waiting to come and crush it, or everyone who's against them?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
I don't quite understand why the other synths just don't, like these mysterious creatures from outside the galaxy don't just come and do what they want to do anyway. But it seems to be they're letting the local synths make the choice, which leads to diplomacy, I guess.
And does this have anything in particular to do with Data? Not really.
A little, but not especially. I mean, he's in the last episode.
And do the Borg count as like part?
As I said, the Borg
synth or not at all?
The Borg surprisingly have not very much to do with it in the end. As I said,
it's so weird.
Yeah,
the whole everyone thought like, okay, well they'll do a Borg thing because Locutus and all of that.
No, I think that was just an entire as I say, just for callbacks and just to get 7 of 9 back.
Right. Oh God, I can't be bothered. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to watch it. Oh man, Zeg, do you have an opinion on Star Trek?
Not recently.
Did you see any of the new films?
The first one.
Okay, yeah, the best one.
I went back and watched a little bit of old Star Trek and
Man Kippers is going through TNG at the moment.
The Borg, that they improved well, I always thought that by the time of Voyager, they improved the kind of costume and makeup for the Borg, and they had they added a lot more green and stuff to the Borg aesthetic and stuff. And I always thought, okay, they've evolved the Borg aesthetic, and this is what the Borg are, and they look cool and everything. But now looking back, they're much more scary in TNG than they became in Voyager, and then the movies. Obviously the makeup isn't quite as good and stuff, but the whole concept of the Borg is much purer and scarier when they're introduced, and they kind of get diluted, I think, the Borg.
Well, they also get diluted by coming up with strategies. Once you've encountered them more than once, and you've just started working out how to beat them, it's just like now they just become just another generic enemy.
They're dangerous, but they're a known bad guy.
Yeah, I mean. They become
it's the Doctor Who problem, right? Like nothing in Doctor Who is meaningful anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Except for when they have to keep rewriting the same bad guys to be they're different from what you thought because they've come up with another new reason for them to turn up.
Except they're never different enough, and it's never interesting enough. It's like, I'm a bit sad about Doctor Who because I actually really liked it up until the end of the Matt Smith stuff, and even then the Matt Smith stuff started to drop towards the end.
I mean, it'll come back around. It's been going since the freaking.
I mean, maybe, but like now it's just. Now, because it's just going and going and going, it's like, I'm not interested. I'm checked out. It's like, I've been checked out for a long time now. And it's just, I don't think you'll beat the David Tennant stuff. That was just, it was good and clever. And the way the story came around at the end, especially, like it all worked it felt planned and proper.
And then they kept trying to do that, but it never felt planned and proper after.
No,
it was like this whole series is one big thing, but it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
But it felt like the Star Wars films, right? The recent ones, where it's like, well, we had a plan, and then someone crapped all over it, and then
fucking Rise of Skywalker. What the fuck? Well, not that I like The Last Jedi, but I mean, come on. Oh well, never mind. Thank God for The Mandalorian. You definitely watch that.
I should try and watch that at some point.
You'd like it. I think I already said that, but it's good.
But Disney Plus, I heard Disney Plus might be doing some sort of deal with Sky, so we'll see what that comes out of that. In the same way that Sky have done some sort of deal with Netflix that I should look into to see how that works. As a Sky user. Oh, speaking of Sky, I watched that virtual F1 race to bring up slightly more games.
Oh yeah,
it was it was a thing. Was it
well put together or badly done?
I mean, not really. It was done like an esports presentation, if you know what I mean. So it was done as well as those are.
Okay.
Which isn't a huge. I mean, it's okay, but not brilliant. It seemed like it was barely functional half the time. Was like part of the problem. It sort of worked well enough, but like Lando Norris got disconnected multiple times, and he's like one of the bigger, more well-known actual F1 racers to be taking part in this thing. And so he wasn't even in the race, but his AI did well.
His drivatar.
Yeah.
It's the same problem that they've been having with like all the late night talk show hosts trying to record shit from home, where it's like the actual professionals don't know how to do internet shit, but the people who have been doing internet shit the whole time, just like Jimmy Broadbent was in that F1 race. He's quite a well-known YouTube like racing game guy, and he was there, and it was like, he stayed connected.
Yeah, that worked well. And was it some of the guys that came quite high up the list were just racing esports guys that were just in the
who've been playing video games a ton and have internet that works.
Yeah, and they did pretty well.
Real race drivers.
Although it has to be said that it was run by a real driver.
Sure,
like it was won by the current, someone who's pretty hot in Formula 2 right now. So that's something. That's
although Formula 2, they probably still have quite a lot of video game training, I guess. Probably.
Well, even the real drivers do, right? They have
but they have like
proprietary simulators.
They have like specialized video game training, not just like the F1 video game.
Yeah. But, they're not playing F1 2019. And it's like, and even when you're watching the thing, it looked like, okay, it was a bit laggy in spots. It's like clearly cars weren't moving around. Some of they had the realism turned right down. Like, for instance, like collisions were basically almost meaningless and things like that. And they were only running a quarter race as well, so there wasn't really much in the way of pit strategy or any of that. So it wasn't a proper thing. But it feels like they're trying. It's like they want. I got the impression that they really do want to work towards doing this properly, but they just couldn't quite pull it off this time. It's interesting. I'd watch more of it. Also, having Lando Norris, there's a clip they put out of Lando Norris ringing up real F1 people about, hey, I'm starting last on the grid because I got disconnected during qualifying. You got any tips? And having most of them just saying, send it into turn one. Just crash everyone off and then you'll be all right.
The legitimate video game strategy.
Yeah, of course.
Just French everyone on turn one.
Book it.
Especially if you know collision's going to be off. I mean, damage or whatever.
Yeah.
It's basically like that, you know, if they're going to run the rules like that, then like the players should know that and therefore play to that. And it won't be like real F1, it will be its own separate skill set almost.
Yeah. I also love the fact that just send it seems to be like a well-known phrase amongst F1 drivers, as it turns out. It's just like, just send it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was quite funny. Anyway, news.
Yeah,
What news
maybe.
we got? What's going on in the
Nintendo did a Direct Mini by surprise.
Because everyone was waiting for a Direct, and then they didn't actually do a Direct.
No, they did a short one, about 20 minutes long, something like that. Not a huge amount of takeaways from it, really. We're not getting a new Smash character until June. And it's going to be someone from ARMS.
I really, really, really hope it's not the goddamn goopy guy. I want anyone apart from that guy, because he's just the meme.
The weird
obviously.
cucumber man.
Yeah. He's just the meme, and it's just like, the trouble is that they've already put Spring Round and River Girl in as an assist trophy in a costume.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't get the goofy guy, just any of the other dudes.
But they've got like, was it Rin or something? The sort of more Asian focused one would be kind of cool to see.
I kind of would be okay with like the one who looks a bit like Lucio from Overwatch.
Oh sure, yeah. There's been people saying that, there's been a weird resurgence of people saying, "Hey guys, ARMS was good." And it's like,
it's been free recently.
I suppose it had a free weekend. Yeah, but...
A week, I think.
Oh, was it? Well, I should have played it.
Some period of time. But I mean, it's like slightly lower down the tier list than like the most recent Mario Tennis.
Oh,
it's like,
sure.
it's good,
yeah.
but there's just not much to it.
Yeah. Fun for a bit. It's always a hard thing to say when you're trying to justify a Nintendo price tag.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
Been trying to look for like Ring Fit Adventure to a certain extent. A bit of me thought, maybe I'll pick that up.
I bet that's sold out real quick.
Oh yeah, no, it's impossible to get hold of.
Oh really? Oh yeah, because that's all anyone's got time to do, right?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be really good. So it's like, a fitness thing that people actually want to play. What?
And now it's got DDR sort of.
Yeah, I saw that. So you can listen to that Mario Odyssey tune again.
Because Nintendo only licenses their own songs.
Odyssey, you see. Yeah, that was that. They're putting out. Nintendo are publishing another sort of little I say another thing, but there's another indie game in the that looked a little bit like, was it the Stretchers, I suppose, but this time you're doing office tasks. So I don't know. I got a vibe of like, this is like one of those co-op games that is big right now, like Moving Out and the Overcooked style co-op game, except it's kind of mostly solo with a co-op mode.
Yeah, it did look a bit like that seemed to me like it was going to be a problem of like there's no real incentive to do the crazy shit by yourself, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. You want someone, you want to be like urged on by your teammates to do something dumb, or like to have some pressure to do something dumb. I don't quite get a feel for that, but did that shadow drop? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
There you go, shadow drop. But it wasn't the only shadow drop of that Direct. Panzer Dragoon Remake just came out after saying like they were supposed, like, it had been penciled in for the end of last year, and we hadn't really heard anything from them since. And they were just like, "Oh, by the way, it's out."
Okay.
As a timed exclusive on Switch, though, and I was kind of waiting on the Steam version, which is definitely coming, but we don't know when. Still, it still says like holiday 2019 on the Steam page, so it's like, I don't know. And apparently that's good. So, but
good.
But it's another one of those that's like a little bit, as a value proposition, it's a little bit hard to justify because it's 25 quid, and Panzer Dragoon is short, really short.
Yeah.
So although the remake seems very good, sort of like it's a little difficult. If it was down to like a tenner, then I'd probably like yield for it because that's the sort of price on. Because Res is currently a tenner on Steam, and I'm going to pick that up because I haven't got a copy.
Yeah,
of
I did
yet.
see that, and it's on my wish list, so I got an email.
Yeah, I'm probably going to just go for that because I haven't played Res in a long time. It'll be like, why not?
I keep waiting for that to go down to something stupid like £2, but it's never gonna. I think it's a new game, isn't it? Because they're not new, but they added all that VR shit to it. And
yeah, it's got the extra, and it's got the VR stuff in the extra area.
Yeah, I think it's time for a bit more Res.
Can
never have enough Res.
No, I do love me some Res. Come on, Res 2. What else was there in that direct? Am I forgetting something? I mean, a full remake of Xenoblade Chronicles from the Wii to bring in the art style from the sort of the art style of the new one. Had they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not all that new then.
What about the Episode 1 racer?
Yeah. But it's not a full remake or a remaster or anything.
I know,
it's the port like the other Jedi game they've just put out.
Yeah, it's still a new lap record.
It is a new lap record.
I hope they put gyro controls in it.
Oh, wow, yeah. So we can play it like we did with your flight yoke.
Yeah, except not quite, but close.
That would be pretty funny. Just a resurrection of that sound effect is worthwhile. New lap record. Anything else in that thing?
Well, there's something that I need to talk about later, but we can get to that when we get to it.
All right. We'll leave that for now then. And that's kind of most.
Yeah. What about all the Mario stuff?
Yes, the Mario rumors are picking up steam.
Yeah, it's not really from the direct, but yeah.
I think I mentioned it last week to Rob, and then there was like a second round of like reinforcement to those rumors.
Oh man!
That basically they're going to firstly remake everything. Like 64, Galaxy, and Sunshine.
Which is
and
exciting,
they're also
especially the 64 one, right? Because if it's like a remake, like that level of detail uplift from 64 to modern.
Oh, what remake? No, they're not doing that.
No,
well, when I say remake, I'm just using it as like the generic term. I'm not saying whether it's going to be a remaster or a full remake.
Even a remaster.
They already did a
would
DS update, didn't they?
Yeah.
To
but those are still 64. Pretty rudimentary, like visually.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, any kind of like half-assed remaster of that game would still be interesting to see what they do.
I'm pretty sure we said previously that like all you do is just use the Odyssey engine and make levels for it, right?
I guess. There's a precision, isn't there, to some of Mario, especially like just how things function sometimes. And you need to recreate that.
And then the other half of the rumor is that like a Paper Mario game is coming this year, and it's going to be a proper Paper Mario game.
What?
Like
an RPG?
Yep. It's what they say, but you can't trust that judging by the last few Paper Marios.
Well, I bet they'd argue that the last two were RPGs.
Yeah, I bet they would. But this rumor has been one of those. Is a rumor where it's like it's come from someone who says it's a return to form. It's not like they're just making it and Nintendo says it's a thing. Yeah, it's someone supposedly has seen it.
Like Paper Mario's had many forms.
Yeah, but I think you've got to assume that they're implying the one that everyone likes.
The one that everyone likes, the first two, basically.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. And there's still that, at the same time as that Paper Mario rumor, there was, which is slightly earlier than the remake rumors, there was also the little mini sub-rumor of that they might even be making another 2D Metroid game.
Well, that Metroid 2 remake did pretty well.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's hoping for Metroid Fusion remake, I guess.
Yeah, I think I played like the first third of that on the GBA, and then it was on the GBA, so I didn't really play much.
Yeah, exactly. And that game had problems in its structure, really.
Mm.
It was It was sort of even before Other M, it was kind of the same thing, where it's just like, it was too much, be like, do what you're told, go to this place, do a thing, and then the radio will come on and tell you where to go next.
Yeah, which isn't really what Metroid's about. Well, and the Prime series got right until maybe the third one. The third one was a bit more directed. But bye, everyone outside my windows, if you could hear that. I wonder if that was a gathering. Should I call the cops? I saw a gathering across the street, actually, of just 3 guys hanging out on the hood of their car. It was a bit strange.
Like 80s?
Yeah. Drugs, I think. Drugs. Let's go with that.
I was wondering, like, what are all the drug dealers going to do in this lockdown? How are they going to...
Home delivery.
Home delivery. Are they going to do contactless delivery where they leave it, like, on the porch and then walk back a few meters for you to pick it up?
Oh, I've just got your PayPal request. Okay, sorted.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I'd quite like to see some. I mean, well, I want to see them just put out some more stuff from the Wii U that didn't. What? That didn't cause me to choke. You know, like they still haven't put out Super Mario 3D World again. Sorry, because that's supposed to be a good Mario. It's more like, you know, it's a little bit in the new vein and a little bit like the Land one on 3DS, which I have played. But the you know, I'd quite like to see World come out on Switch, because why not? And they still haven't put out Twilight Princess HD or Wind Waker HD on the Switch, which seems like, why? Why wouldn't you just do that? That's money. Get to it, Ninty.
Hopefully they're doing more important things.
Like making new games.
Well, I heard the
Like
thing
Star
about...
Fox Grand Prix.
or F-Zero, that one.
Yeah, make F-Zero, for the love of God.
But the thing about that mini direct was like it caused people to theorize that the fact that the mini direct was a mini direct and not an actual direct, and Nintendo basically didn't have anything to say, means that clearly Zelda 2 is coming out this year.
What you reckon?
No, I don't reckon.
No,
I reckon that's a real dumb theoretical thing that you put together there.
I'll be saving that for a proper direct.
Well, sure, and also it's not going to come out this year.
It could come out this year. I mean, like,
it's been 3. Or will have been 3.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Majora's Mask was like a couple of years, right? I guess it's like, I don't know. I guess it's a massive world and they've tons of work to do. But like, they've got the engine, they've got like, a lot of assets and stuff to use. So I don't know.
Not like they'll be. There's a whole chunk of work already done this time. If it's what we think it is.
I think we already decided that it was coming out in 21, though.
Probably, yeah.
That was our previous estimate, just on the first reveal trailer. Because they didn't say a date, and then that was like, oh well, you know what that means. If Nintendo doesn't say any date at all, consider this at least 2 to 3 years. So, you know, maybe we'll get an actual Nintendo Direct before the theoretical E3 Direct. I don't know. Maybe not at this point.
No, maybe not. We'll probably have to wait for E3 time. Does Bravely Default 2 not catch your eye in any way, Zeg?
That's what I need to talk about later, isn't it?
Oh,
literally the thing I was referring to.
Oh, all right then. Okay. Fair enough. I thought it looked a bit odd. But anyway.
Cool. I think that's the news.
Yeah, other than, you know, coronavirus-y stuff, CEX and Game for some reason held out for a really long time before eventually deciding to shut.
Possibly not as long as GameStop, though.
It's like total non-news now. It's like QuakeCon is cancelled. It's like, well, of course it is.
You don't need to. Yeah, I don't.
You don't need to tell
why are you surprised?
The Olympics got delayed, like we said they might.
Yeah, I mean, obvious, I guess. It's like, I know that's sort of late on, isn't it? Like August and stuff, but we don't know where it's going to be spreading globally at that point. Hasn't Australia only just got it, for instance? It's like, so they've got months before they can do anything.
Well, I think it's less a problem of like where it's going to be in August and more a problem of all the athletes who can't do any training right now.
Yeah, there's that. they can't really get to unless they've all invested heavily in home gyms. It's a bit making sand pits in their garden for long jumpers. Even then, you'd need a long run up. Who's got a 100-meter garden?
Rich people.
They should have all moved in there when the outbreak started. They'd have been fine.
Righto, I think it's time for what you've been playing.
Okay.
Zach, what have you been playing other than Bravely Default?
Yeah, apparently we've been there talking about that then. I played the demo of Bravely Default 2 that came out immediately after that thing in the Direct.
You're not going to save that then?
What do you mean save it?
You haven't got anything else to talk about first?
Well, I've got other things to talk about, but we may as well just move directly onto that. From
let's
the news
segue
story.
segue into the thing we just said we wouldn't talk about for a bit.
Cover it.
It's been a bit.
Okay, fine. Let's go.
So I played it, and it's weird in several ways, but kind of good in some ways, I guess. I mean, it looks pretty cool. It has a style.
Yeah.
It's a Switch game. Sorry.
Yes.
Right.
Naturally, because everything's on Switch now.
Yeah, makes sense.
But
something struck me odd about it statically. I think it looks like Bravely Default, which is cool, right? It looks like how the original, a little bit, that sort of style.
Yeah.
And as soon as it moves, though, something in me breaks. It's just like, oh, I don't like. That's a bit weird. And maybe that's just what the original looked like, is when I'm not remembering it. But those battle animations just looked ropey as to me.
No, I think they were always like that. You just
all right. Okay.
don't remember.
Yeah.
The thing is, they still retained the same weird, the way that everything is a multi-hit and they animate it.
Right, yeah.
So when you do your standard attack, they just wave their sword around wildly and it's 7 hits.
Yeah, I think that's what bothered me most.
And it's just that always looked weird, even in the original, but maybe slightly less weird than it does now, I guess. I think it maybe looks slightly worse now.
I think it kind of looks like they're glitching rather than actually attacking.
Yeah, because it's sped up so much to fit 7 different hits. It looks better if you've got a person who's dual wielding 2 different weapons, because the of those 7 hits, it will be here's 5 hits of a dagger and 2 hits of this staff. So it breaks up the animation a little bit.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So that does kind of help. But yeah, that always looked kind of jank, and they've just kind of kept it, I guess. But they've also kept the weird, the way the towns kind of look painterly styled, which in the 3DS game was, because it was basically
the 2D background, right?
Well, they're not. They are 3D. They're just very specifically rendered at a fixed camera angle, so they can fake the 2D art style. Whereas now it's just they're doing that again, but it's not as obviously faking a 2D art style. It's just it's just a weird texture on top of this clearly 3D world.
Is this the same team that do Octopath?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So yeah, they're still trying to keep that style, and it works well enough, I guess. But and then you've got the characters who, voice acting is a thing now. I guess it was in the 3DS as well. They had voice acting in the 3DS game. And they still for a moment I thought, is this all going to be voice acted now? But no, there's still the between major events dialogue is still just text boxes.
Right.
So yeah, they still have that. And, voice acting means you have an opportunity for dumb voice acting. Where you've got the guy who is very, very Scottish.
Yeah, I noticed that from the trailer. It's the token Scottish guy.
He's also called Elvis for some reason.
Okay.
But yes, he's very Scottish. And then you've got his mercenary woman who presumably joins the party with him, who has an accent that I just can't work out what the hell it is, which means I automatically think of it as being South African, because that's just the default. What is that accent? I can't figure it out. It's got to be South African.
Yeah.
So there's her, and then you've got met the main character guy who's just still got this kind of generic voice, and then the princess who's got the the regal voice. The thing is about this demo is like it's literally the same demo as the first game. And practically the same characters and practically the same story. It's just like, this is not inspiring confidence in like the overall story of this game, except.
But that's isn't that kind of the thing though, isn't it? Like the whole about Bravely Default.
Well, yeah, but that's
the idea of cycles. And
that's the trouble though. Like in the first game, it was all about like the parallel universe cyclic nature of the game in the back half of that game. And like if this is like a hella meta play and it's like the second game is just like another like less parallel but still parallel universe of the same thing again, it's like that's okay I guess, but it's not that great to be like, let's just do the same fucking thing again.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Like you'll get to the point where it's just like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
But yeah,
maybe that's the trick. Maybe they play on it in the same way they played on it in the first one.
Well, they need to, if they're going to play on it, they need to play on it like hard. It can't just be literally the same story, but just with different characters.
So what was Bravely Second then?
I don't know because I didn't play it, but it is a sequel, a direct sequel. I don't know how that turns out in the story.
So it's Bravely Second, like Final Fantasy X-2 kind of thing, but they just didn't have a number to put a 2 on the end.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like it's not a full sequel, it's like a half sequel, and then.
But yes, and then the thing about like when I say this demo is the exact same demo, I mean like it's really the exact same demo. Like it's in the desert town, which is how it was in the first game's demo, and you're going into the desert ruins like you were in the first game's demo, and you fight the thief boss at the end of the ruins like you was in the first game's demo. It's like, this is very literally the same demo.
I really hope this is all a play, and they're trying something clever here.
And then, like, the characters, again, kind of similar. We've got, like, generic guy who has some kind of amnesia, and, like, Elvis being the equivalent of the whatever he was called, Ring a Bell in the first game, who's like he has this mysterious book that tells him stuff about maybe the future, kind of, except maybe not. And like that's the same. And then you've got like the princess / the priestess woman from the first game, who is like trying to restore the crystals. The only thing that's different is there's no fairy yet.
Right, yeah, that's the next question.
But yeah, and then apart from that, the more serious like concerns about it is the sort of way they've changed like the battle system, which is maybe the biggest issue. They are doing the thing that Square has been doing quite a lot recently, where they're like, we're going to put this demo up and then have a feedback phase where we can receive feedback and potentially change things. So maybe this will change. But they've messed with the way the battle system works, where everyone takes turns based on their individual speed now, rather than each team taking turns.
Oh, I see. Right.
Which, like, because it's more in the style of like the the Breath of Death and all those style of games where everyone's speed is based on their actual speed.
To get with like a time graph kind of thing.
Well, that's the trouble. It doesn't have any indication of whose turn is coming up, and that basically completely fucks up the whole Brave and Default system. Because like, if you can't see when an attack is going to happen and know to Brave or Default in advance of it, and like if you Brave and then you have to wait 3 turns for your points to recharge, you don't know how many more attacks you're going to get or whatever. It's like they either need to go back to the whole team's taking turns method, or they need to give you a graph to show you the actual turn order.
Yeah, because now strategizing, I can see that, yeah, because strategizing within your team is now much trickier, because you could plan for a big attack and not be able to pull it off, because you can't unleash it all at once. And
because like the way the Brave and Default point system works, is like that's not linked to your speed exactly. Like, because occasionally you'll have it so like you can just default for a long time and build up your Brave points, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to unleash a big attack. So you'll use 3 attacks in one turn, as you do when you use all your points on one guy. But then his speed is so high that after he takes those 3 attacks, he just gets his next turn before anyone else can move. So it's like you've spent all the Brave points to do one big attack, but he just has another turn straight afterwards anyway.
So your guy that just attacked is now vulnerable?
Well, not that he's vulnerable, it's just that there's no... It's like you didn't need to spend all those Brave points to do that one big attack, because you've just got another literal turn. It kind of messes with the whole point of.
Oh
building
wait,
up
what
the
the guy that the guy you just used to attack?
Because his speed is so high, he gets 2 turns in a row before anyone else has another action.
Right, I see. I thought you were no. Sorry, I misread. I thought you were worried about the enemy suddenly got a turn in the middle of your okay, I get it.
It's like it doesn't make much sense from the Brave default system. And then sort of the related problem to like everyone just acting whenever is like it does a kind of dynamic camera thing where it zooms in on like each of the individual people as their actions happen and the enemies. But because it's like you're fighting like here's 6 goblins and they're all the exact same model, when it zooms in and then on the goblin and the goblin is like charging brave points or whatever, you're like, well, I don't fucking know which one that was. Because there's 6 identical goblins.
Boy, yeah, okay, I can see that.
There is helpfully
does it have a text feed that like numbers it or something?
Well, there is an overlay that you can pop up by like holding down plus that shows you like status and weaknesses and brave points for like your team and the enemy. So you can at least see if an enemy has been charging up and like reserving brave points. You can see which one it is through that. But then you're like, okay, that's Goblin C, and then you have to go to target them and then be like, okay, which one's Goblin C? Oh, it's that one. It's just like it's not very helpful. So yeah. I don't know if they do keep this battle style, they definitely need like a turn ordering graph.
Do the goblins not have like an animation stance they would get in while they're defaulting?
They do for that.
Pose?
They have the guard pose for default, but like if they've already done that in a previous turn, but now they're just sitting on brave points because they don't always use them all immediately.
I see. Right.
So yeah, it's kind of awkward. It could work, but they'll need more UI. But I think I preferred the old style because then when it's like the whole team taking a turn, then the speed only matters within like which one of your people is going to act first in your 4 party members.
Yeah.
So then you're like forming the strategy around that.
And was it always like a straight your team, their team, your team, their team structure then?
Yeah. And that also allows you obviously to properly default against big attacks or whatever, because that was really how the main bosses in that game worked, where you basically had to spend like the first 4 turns or whatever just defaulting to see what the like loop that the enemy does is like, oh, he's going to default for a turn, then he's going to go into a counter pose for a turn, then he's going to unleash all his attacks, and then there's the vulnerable turn. So you needed to like work that out beforehand, and then you could actually start your strategy.
But then that side could still potentially work for you and give you a bit of a feel for all of your party's speeds versus his, I guess.
Kind of, but then again, because of the way a lot of your abilities in the first game were like buffing each other or playing off each other, unless your whole team is acting at once, you can't really do that so easily any longer either. Because you're like, oh, my mage is going to apply a protection buff to my white mage for 2 turns, but it's like it's 2 of her turns, so how fast is she compared to everyone else? And will the black mage get another chance to act before the protection runs off so he can reapply it or whatever?
So if you applied a spell like that to a fast character, they're going to get it for considerably less time.
Yeah, less. I mean, the same number of turns, but less potential enemy turns.
Yeah. I see what you mean. It sounds interesting, but yeah, I can see how that would be hard to manage.
Well, I mean, it's like it is literally impossible to manage at the moment.
Yeah.
If they put UI in, it could work, but that's if they don't do that and they just keep it as it is, it's going to be a disaster. Either go back to the old system or make more UI, but I'm sure they must be aware of this by now with the feedback, because I'm pretty sure I saw several YouTube videos of people complaining about that whole system.
I mean, could it be if they don't want to, for some reason, if they don't want to show a full timeline like of your enemies, for instance, and like when their turns are taking place, could they at least mitigate it with some sort of ATB system? Where you could like build up your active bar or whatever, and then just be like, "Oh, hold, but only hold for a brief moment," so you could get everyone in sync.
Well, there was that like not very much used system in the first game of basically interrupts, where you could spend a point to like just cause a turn immediately, which was like not used that often. in that game, because obviously the turn structure was more regimented anyway. So maybe you could put something like that back in, maybe to be like you push a button and then like spend an extra brave point to shove someone to the front of the turn queue or something. But then you'll still need the UI to be able to use that effectively to see whose turns are going to come.
Yeah, to know that you've made the right choice. Yeah, it's interesting.
So yeah, that may be a fairly decent game, probably, if they fix a couple of things. But it's still very Bravely Default. So if you want more of that, it's probably going to be more of that. And Rob, you should probably play that demo.
You think? You think I would like it? Or...
Well, you always theoretically said you might play the original, but never did.
Well, yeah, it's more that getting into those sorts of RPGs hasn't really worked for me for a long time.
But now it's not on a handheld. That was the problem with the original, right?
Yeah. There is that. I'm never as committed to a handheld device as I have been to anything else.
So yes, there's that. We'll see how that goes. That's probably going to come out this year, I guess.
That's the assumption.
So that's a game that's going to come out this year, which will be nice for Nintendo. Although that's all we know of currently.
They need something.
And then I guess I played a lot of Animal Crossing, obviously.
How's that going?
It's going okay, but we've just reached the awkward point where like the island customization is unlocked, where it's just like now you've got a whole shit ton of work to do.
Right, because you have a picture in your mind of how you want it to look.
Yeah, because up to this point, everything has just been temporary. It's like, I'm going to put your house there, but I know that's not where it's going to be in the future. I want it over here, where I want it to be nicely designed. So now it's like, now I've suddenly got all the tools to re-divert the rivers and move buildings around and everything. It's just like, now you've just unlocked a whole lot of hours of doing things like that. Which is fine. I mean, I don't mind that. And you can spread it out over, as long as you want, really. It's not like you have to do... No. It's not like the rivers care about if you completely block them off with land.
They still flow.
Yes. The water just goes somewhere. So I can theoretically... The bigger problem with the massive remodeling effort is, like, it costs a shit ton of money.
Bells for days.
Like, moving a building is 50,000. And that's I
have no context of how much that is, really.
Well, I guess it's like, it's not that much, but it's currently more than you'd like to spend on it. And like building a non-basic bridge is like 200,000. So it's like we're getting to that point of having that kind of money to just use on these kind of things, but it's not, it's cheap still. And also the more annoying thing about moving the buildings around, well, there's two annoying things about it. Firstly, you can only do one per day. So you choose a building to move, and then you have to wait for overnight, and then the building will get moved. And the second, probably more annoying problem is you don't just like go to the map and be like, move here. You have to go actually into the physical world and then like put down a new plot that's like, this is where the building's going to be. But because you're placing a physical plot in the world, it can't overlap like the current building. Like you can't move a building like 1 square to the left because the new plot you're trying to put down overlaps the current one.
Oh, that's annoying.
So then you're spending twice as much money because you're having to move the building twice to be like, okay, just go over there temporarily, and then tomorrow I'll move you again and spend another £50,000 to put you exactly where I want you. So yeah, it's slightly inconvenient in exactly the way you'd expect it to be in an Animal Crossing game. That's the main problem with that game, is slight inconveniences that just like stack up over time. It's like if you want to craft fish bait, where it's just like you dig up clams off the beach and then turn them into fish bait, you can. There's like one of the like in-game mile achievements is for digging up like 200 clams, which again is just means walking up and down the beach with a shovel and digging them up one at a time. So that takes quite a long time. But then if you want to convert those into fish bait, you can only craft fish bait one at a time. So you're like, Should I craft something? Yes. Go into menu, scroll to fish bait, press craft, go through crafting animation, hold up the fish bait you just made, say, I made fish bait. Close that dialog box. Do you want to craft another one? Yes. Go back to the crafting menu, select fish bait. And it's just like, this takes fucking forever. There's no batch crafting, which is just like, they really should patch that in. Because it's quite ridiculous.
Would it be something that you'd have to say, like, batch craft, but your character's going to be busy for a few hours?
There's no reason for them to delay it like that.
Dagger.
Yeah, exactly. If only it was as fast as Skyrim.
Don't know.
Where you just mash that button over and over.
I was just trying to work out if it was in the spirit of the game, right? So, like, where things are supposed to be sort of fairly timed, you know. And
I don't think it's ever like on that scale of time, though. It's day times or hour times. It's not like I crafted this in a minute rather than I crafted this in fucking 5 minutes because I had to sit here and mash the button. And also, fucking going to damage my controller buttons with all this mashing. Skip all this dialogue. And that's the other. The dialogue is the overarching problem with Animal Crossing. It's just like there's always slightly too many fucking dialogue boxes for everything. Always got to talk for an entire paragraph and then have that go away.
It's a slow pace of life in Animal Crossing.
They don't need to. They should have just like had a shorter version of every dialogue after the first time you talk to them for a day.
Right, yeah,
because that's not how people actually function, is it?
That's true. No, that is very true.
You don't say the exact same whole 3 pages of dialogue every time you meet someone.
No.
It's like if we suddenly started doing the start of the podcast again.
Yes. But yeah, that's the situation we're in now. So it's all mass remodeling at the moment, and we're betting heavily on the stock market.
Actually, you know what it's like? It's like, would you like onion rings with that?
Yeah, it is like that, pretty much. There's always one extra dialogue box of do you want onion rings? So it's Sunday morning, invest heavily in the stock market. Stalk market. You have to pronounce it slightly differently. For the turnips. And as soon as that came back, I was like, oh yeah, I was reminded of whoever came up with that pun at Nintendo did a good job. Of Sal Jones stalk market. It's like, that's good. Good one.
I like it.
She's not even in this game. It's like her kid comes to sell you the turnips now.
Huh.
But they kept that pun. They just reference it once in a dialogue box.
There's always been a strong pun game in Animal Crossing.
Well, yeah, like every animal you catch, it's like, I caught a thing. Here's the stupid pun about its name. Some of them are better than others. Obviously, because that's how puns work.
Yeah.
Some of them are bad. Some of them you're going to be annoyed by seeing the millionth time because, again, you only need to see the pun once. You don't need to see it every fucking time you catch the same animal.
Especially if they're all followed up with comma. Get it?
And it's currently the run-up to Bunny Day / Easter.
Yeah.
Which just means there's fucking eggs everywhere, and everyone is pissed off about how many eggs there are.
There's all that egg loot.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that long to make all that egg loot. And then it's just like, there's all these fucking eggs. And as people have been pointing out, where it's just like, what if you only just started playing Animal Crossing right now, and when you're trying to, get wood to craft things, you're just getting eggs? That would suck.
You'd have a very interesting material that your house is made of.
Because the
egg-based.
The eggs do just replace normal drops. Like there's the wood eggs that come out of trees, and there's the stone eggs that come out of stones instead of the normal things that come out of trees and stones. So it probably would suck if you were desperate for resources in the early game during this period of eggs. I haven't actually tried selling the eggs yet to see how much they're worth. I've just been hoarding them. I did craft maybe all of the recipes now, so maybe I probably can sell the extra eggs, but who knows what will happen on Buddy Day. Maybe there'll be some extra thing to do with the extra eggs.
Probably.
So we have to survive another week worth of all eggs all the time before Buddy Day actually happens. The worst one is the fish eggs. I mean, water eggs. The ones that replace fish. Because when you go to fish and there's like the shadow of a fish and you're like, I'm going to catch that fish, and it's a fucking egg.
I do find this pretty funny. From the outside looking in. I don't think I'd find it funny playing it.
And then, I don't know what else about Animal Crossing. Oh, we got to the point where you can upload your custom designs.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those suddenly floating around on.
Well, I think that's probably because everyone has reached the point where you can upload them now.
Yeah.
Because we weren't sure whether you were going to be able to trade them, because you can't, if you like put your custom design on an item, that prevents you from trading it with another player. So we were like, how can we transfer these designs if not by physically transferring them? Because we were imagining, because it's all phone app based in game, where you have your Nook phone and it's like the design app in the phone, and we're like, well, surely there's got to be a way to like basically transmit your app data from one app to another, right? If you're friends with someone. But it's actually just like you upload it to the internet. It's just you have a creator code sort of in a Mario Maker-esque kind of way. So you can just, either you can give someone your creator code so they can see everything you've made, or the individual designs have a code. So you can just upload them and fill everyone's towns with porn. As is inevitable.
Does that happen badly then?
Well, of course it did. What are you
Okay.
talking about? Instantly, as soon as not even before you could trade it, as soon as people had the ability to make custom designs.
I've seen people doing versions of their own villager on their own shirt. So there'll be like a villager on a villager.
That's kind of interesting. You can get, like, every villager apparently has a poster you can get. Like, there's this special island you can go to that's basically like the photo shoot island, where you can. It's basically sort of like a house that you can just move the furniture around in freely, and you can drop in any furniture you've ever had rather than your personal furniture or whatever. So you can basically make photo shoots on this island, and then you can recruit your villagers to be like the models in those photo shoots, I guess. But whenever you do that, it also gives you the ability to buy the poster of that villager, where it's like, here's a poster you can put on your wall of this specific villager doing whatever they like to do, I guess. His coach running because he's the sporty guy.
Is that poster a photo you took though?
No, it's just like these weirdly pre-mocked up posters for every character in the game, apparently.
Weird. These characters have good PR.
Apparently. And you become increasingly aware of Nintendo doing the Nintendo thing of trying to be subtle, but then it becomes incredibly unsubtle very quickly. Of like, when you first start the game, one of your two villagers you start with is always the sporty type. So they have the sporty personality where they constantly talk about exercise and shit. And you're like, okay, Nintendo, I see what you're doing there. But then, like, it's not even that subtle, because, like, all of your villagers will pretty much just be, like, randomly exercising around the town all the time, or doing yoga, or, like, all right, Nintendo, we get it. Go outside.
Are any of them holding rings? Do any of them have flaming hair?
Not yet. But, like, it's also kind of funny, because, like, that would have been more of a, Nintendo style dig of like, go outside and don't play for more than an hour at a time or whatever. But now literally you can't go outside. So now it's like, look at all these villagers exercising, screw you.
Rubbing it in. That's the one reason you can go outside.
Well, true.
Thing on through the sort of park run newsletter that people were doing 5K in their back gardens, and just showing the Strava map of that's just a scribble.
How the hell
Oh, that must be the worst.
They must be doing one serious
like a
turn.
billion laps.
Yeah.
Well, how much damage would that do to your grass?
Probably loads.
Just, like, completely destroy it. So yeah, that's Animal Crossing. It still continues to be Animal Crossing, basically. Much the same. We're gradually unlocking all the same things, and then the few new things are just like, this is kind of awkward. This costs too much money.
The animals are still crossing to get to the island.
Yeah.
Is there much actual, like, Animal Crossing to me sounds like your place should be a transport hub.
I mean, a lot of the older games had like the train station was the sort of central building of the town or whatever.
Mm.
That probably made more sense why it was called Animal Crossing.
Yeah, at the time, made more sense.
In fact, in the 3DS game, it was like the like houses part of the town and like the shopping part of the town. You literally had to cross over the railway.
Nice.
And it was a loading screen, obviously,
Yeah.
when you cross over the railway.
That's nice. And loads.
So there's that. And that's more or less all I've been doing, I guess. Kind of. I don't think I've been doing it like, tons. I haven't been playing for that much time a day. I just haven't been doing much else.
It's weird how that happens. I've definitely had days in the last week and a bit where I've looked back and be like, what actually did I do today?
Yeah.
Welcome to Zach's life.
Yeah.
It comes and goes.
Yeah, it's like I know. I look back and go like, well, I didn't actually play that many games. So what did I do?
The answer is YouTube. God damn it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, bloody YouTube.
Sometimes just faff, like sorting your PC out or fixing light strips back to it. Or...
There's infinite faff to do.
There is infinite faff. There's always more faff.
And that's what Animal Crossing simulates.
Yeah, you got to faff around in the game and then faff around outside.
Dual faff.
There's been some good posts in, do you know that Reddit are outside, which is like seeing the whole, the real outside world as in the context of a video game.
Mm.
And it's like, how long is this downtime going to be?
Yeah.
When they're going to patch this?
I think that's all I have to talk about.
Okay.
Cool. Robe.
All right. Pick a direction. Do you want me to go heavy hitters downwards or end with a heavy hitter?
Yeah. Start with a heavy hitter.
Start with the major news.
The main event.
The main event is that I finished Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Woo!
And it's one hell of a game.
Oh yeah.
It's
Game of the Year list coming.
Oh, 100%. It's properly good. Yeah, I think I talked a little about that a little bit last time, and a lot of that still holds up. It's still, all the way through. It still controls brilliantly. It still feels fresh the whole way through. Like the combat changes are really nice. I like that it's still very much hands on compared to the sort of like the first game. You're not so much having to worry about where your attacks go because it's all sort of automatic. You just have to worry about your own positioning, and the fact that it's now like a bit more traditional in the sense, I suppose, that you're having to fight yourself with your lightsabers and other abilities, and you unlock some really cool ones towards the end as well. But it's just, that whole more direct feeling combat makes a huge difference to the game. But also has some, like, okay, Rob review time. Let's try and stay positive. Like, it is really good. The narrative is whilst it tails off a bit towards the end, you don't get so much of it in the back half of the game, which I think is one of the back half's main problems. There isn't so much story the further you go. I think the way it ends is fantastic, but it's one of those endings where it's just like, what are you going to do now, guys? Like, I'm not going to spoil it or anything like that, but it's just like, where do you go from here?
Well, they don't need to go anywhere. They need to tie it up and make a finished product for a change.
Well, kinda, yeah, but at least, like, Well, that was kind of what the first game was. Like, they didn't have to make a sequel to the first game, but they did. The first game was a nice, tidy story. This game is a much more tidy story. Let's put it that way. But it is very good. It's incredibly moving, and I kind of wish they just did more of when they want to do their animation, their cutscenes, their voiceless, the silent movie like way of telling stories is just fantastic. They do such an amazing job, which is why it's sometimes a little bit of a bummer that there's way more text speech in this one than there is in the original. And I think I mentioned this last time. I'm a bit blindsided by the fact there's more just text boxes,
straight ahead stuff,
and stuff like that. And I can see why they did it, because they wanted to have more of a feeling of community about the game. They wanted to have more of a feeling of you understanding a bit more about what's going on, rather than it just being something that's happened. But I kind of wish they found a way of doing all of that without vocals, without having to have things be, I got money, or so I can use my money to buy skills, but I need to buy that off a person that can talk in order for that to make sense. I kind of wish they didn't have to do that, because as I say, when they do the silent movie thing, it's so good. That said, the text is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just it makes me wonder what could have been, but that would have changed the game completely, I suppose, if they chosen to do that. And perhaps the some of the twist at the end might not have landed without a little bit of words, but I don't know. I think that's just that's your strength. Like, try and if whatever project you do next, let's try and play to that a little more, because you're very good at it, and it's super moving. And hell, I welled up a couple times in this storyline. It's that well done. It's properly good. Visuals all round are a step up from the original. They're very similar, but they're a step up. Like, the animation quality is smooth at all times, where it had a slightly hand animated, stop framey kind of feel at times in the original. You don't get any of that here. Everything is silk. And it's one of the best games I've played. I've said that a couple of times this year, I think, already. It's it's a properly good game. It's one of the best games I've played for a while. That said, Rob review time. I have a few niggles. I think the back half of the game is a little bit more tedious than the first half.
Okay.
And I think it does start to run into a few issues with level design and things like that towards the end. I went and did my thing where I went and read a load of reviews after I'd finished the game to just see how people felt about it, and this sentiment doesn't seem to be common. It's like I think I'm in the minority here, and especially in the very ending section, I thought there were bits where it felt like a bit like a trial and error, where it's like I don't quite know what I have to do here, or at least I do know what I have to do, but exactly how it's going to play out, I'm not sure, because things are just off screen enough when I'm making this maneuver that I don't know what I'm flying into exactly. I guess the best explanation of that is there's a bit where there's teleporters. Like, these were things in the first game as well, where you walk in one glowing tree trunk and you come out some other glowing tree trunk. But there's a section where you have to time your entries into these, because the tree trunk on the other end is moving in some way. And because of the nature of the screen and the design of what you can and can't see, it's not always hugely clear where the other teleporter needs to be for you to do the thing. And if you do the thing at the wrong time, you'll just fly into some spikes, stuff like that. And it's like, that probably could have been tighter. And it's like, normally that might not be such a big deal, but in a game that is tight everywhere else, it stands out as a slight failing. Also, I think I mentioned last time that I don't think the escape sequences are generally as good or as well conceived as they were before in the
you said
in the first game. And I've seen a lot of reviews say that that's actually for the better, because the escape sequences in the first game are very long and you kind of had to do them in one run. But in a weird way, that was kind of the joy of them. There was a nice challenge to that, to doing it in one go. and they were presented better, and they were stronger moments. There are some better escape sequences than what I experienced from last time I told you. There are some towards the end of the game that are better constructed than the ones I played at the start of the game. Slightly longer, slightly more challenging, but also more dramatic in terms of where the story is and what's going on. And they're just generally better presented, which is nice. On the downside of those, I did come across a couple that weren't just a horizontal, like, wall of death. However, they behaved a little bit like a horizontal wall of death. So there was one in particular where you're running away from a thing, a big creature that's chasing you. And I managed to find a spot where it didn't overlap me. I found a way to avoid it. But of course the game just kills you anyway.
Oh.
Because he's gone past you. And you're like, no! And then, just to make it extra more cheeky, there's a bit where you legitimately have to do that in an escape sequence later on in the game.
Oh, okay.
Where you have to avoid it, and then it will come back, and then a route opens up later, and it's like, consistency. It's like, it's minor gripes here and there that in something that is generally very enjoyable. But there's just like when as I say, when these things happen, they're just like not quite polished enough there, guys. And I did come across a few technical glitches, which I think are way more common if you're playing the Xbox version. Apparently the Xbox version is a bit hitchy in places, even on the X, which is a shame. It's not the places where the performance wasn't too great. For me, performance wasn't an issue. I'm playing on PC. I had absolutely zero hitchiness. The only time it really hitched up a little bit was when you were using fast travel to get around, and it's like, that's perfectly acceptable. Apparently there were issues like on the Xbox version, like when you're trying to view the map, you might get a little pause while it actually tries to load the map in or something like that. And I was using it all the time, so I imagine that would be extraordinarily annoying. I was popping in and out all the time to figure out where I was going. And so I didn't have that issue. The issues I did come across were ones of sound, which seems to be frustratingly common among Microsoft Studios' output of late. It only seemed to really happen during boss fights, but I would have bits where it felt like a large portion of the boss's sound effects just weren't there. Like it would stomp to the ground and there'd be no noise. It would visibly stand there and go rah and shriek, and there'd be like a visible shockwave of the shriek happening. There'd be no noise. And it started to sound and feel weird. All my character noises were still playing out just fine. Just the ones from the big ass boss characters were just not right. And that happened to me several times during these boss encounters. So I'm beginning to think that's a proper glitch. I wondered if it was like my surround sound settings or something, and it was like for something in my setup just wasn't playing out of certain channels, but I went and tested it all and it's all fine, and so definitely a game glitch. And occasionally, especially during the very, very last end sequence, you'd get positional like model glitches where models would suddenly ping to where they shouldn't be. So you'd have this character doing an animation and be like a nice moment. They'd sit down or something, or look wistfully into the distance, and then they'd be in the sky.
Oh dear!
I'm in the sky now. So that's slight issues there. Again, not hugely problematic. I had one. It's not game breaking, but it's breaking at that moment in time where I got stuck in the terrain. I managed to find a way to get Ori trapped somewhere because a bit of physics wasn't. There are some things that animate with a bit of physics, and I think it went a bit mad and managed to whack me inside an area I'm not supposed to be in, and so I got stuck and couldn't figure out how to get out. And there was one door in particular that was glitching out quite a bit, but that's it. Like nothing super game breaking, just annoyances here and there. The sound thing bothered me the most out of all of that. I love my sound.
Yeah, of course.
And it's it's a beautifully designed game in terms of its sound orchestra, and the soundtrack in places is just brilliant. Gareth Coker, who did the first game, is back for this one, and it's just it is fantastic. There's just the Wellsprings Glade number is like light and folky in a way that sort of sticks in your head. The swelling strings of the first area of the game are really very nice, almost Bond theme-esque. Gnome described it, and it's like, but it's really cool. Like it's just it's and when the game and the soundtrack's at its best when it crescendos as well, when you're getting the main theme playing, but it's getting way more dramatic, and there's all these other layers and counter melodies playing, and it's incredibly well done.
So up for best music potentially as well.
Oh yeah. I think it'll be a mighty good contender for that.
Talking about the soundtrack just reminded me of something I forgot to say about the Brave as a Fox 2 demo. Because I played the first game so damn much, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
They use the same opening sting at the start of battle, but it's different music now. So I'm always expecting the old music when I hear the first few notes, and it's really distracting to me because I'm like, here it comes.
Didn't that happen in Golden Sun as well? Where it was sort of the same opening sting to every fight, but then it went in a totally different direction.
Not quite, because between the two different Golden Sun, in Golden Sun, the battle themes are named after the characters, and they are slightly more different. And Golden Sun didn't really have an opening sting, I don't think.
Oh no, you're right. It sort of went yeah, and then with the sort of streaky noise, and then there was a
that was about what you got from Golden Sun. Whereas this has a string of notes at the start of the fight, and then it's just a different song. I still can't get the old one out of my head, even though I hadn't played Brave Default for so long. It's like, here it comes. Oh wait, it's not that song.
Games do, or do they always have the same battle music?
Well, yeah, they have different ones, but again, that the generic sting at the start is much less musical, I guess, for those games.
It's still an arpeggio, isn't
it? Yeah, but it's not it's not part of the music,
big
really.
Melody, yeah.
It's in key.
Well, for some of them, battle musics, maybe.
Cool. That's the big hitter then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic thing. 100%ed it. I didn't go completionist and go back into it because, like the first game, it's
rank.
Its completionist achievements are hardcore.
Yeah.
Complete the game again in 4 hours. It took me 18.
Right. Yeah.
To do this 100% run. Do certain play the first portion of the game without falling in the poison water at all, and there's a lot of it at the start of the game. Do the entire game without dying once. I died hundreds of times. Yeah, there are some hardcore challenges there if you want them. I don't need them. That's not what I'm there for.
No. What else has been on the menu during your week of
quite a lot of
holidays?
things. I've been plugging away at 2 Point Hospital still.
Oh yeah.
The inevitable happened. I got some DJ repeats.
Oh, finally.
Yeah. It was on. It might have been. Was it the Epidemic level or the one before it? It might have been the level before it, where they just I got the same sequence of DJ stuff where they're talking about aliens.
Oh, right.
Pretending to be humans.
The DLC advert, basically.
Kinda, yeah. And that looped a few times and got a bit annoying after a while. It's yeah, I've heard all of this. And there's the two DJs kind of play off each other a little bit. There's one sequence where one of them leads into the other and the other one then sort of carries on. And it's yeah, so I heard that a few times and it's yeah, alright. Damn, it happened.
And then it happened for you and not for me, though.
Yeah, and then I went back and played some older levels, just to get some more stars. And for the first few levels, and I heard things there I'd never heard before, and including a different Cheesy Gubbins ad, and it's just there's still more. It's just, yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to say I'm enjoying it, but in a weird way, I can't stop playing it. It's a thing to do, I guess. Maybe that's where all my time's going, and I just don't remember it.
You're in like the I guess no longer tutorial phase where you're just like, now it's just levels.
Yeah.
And quite like nicely laid out, uncomplicated levels.
Well, some of them, yeah. The epidemic level's kind of annoying because if you want more stars, you've just got to wait for the epidemics to come up.
Well, sure, but you don't have to do those too much before you can just start cancelling them all.
Well, because they're all like the 2-star and 3-star are like, oh, hey, you need to vaccinate like 60 people, and it's like, what?
Sure, but the epidemic having so constantly on that level, though.
Well, not constantly enough. Takes time. I've pretty much got everything else sorted. It's just the time for getting those down. I spent that 3-star. I did the 2-star one, and then I saw the number go up for the 3-star one. I was like, well, I'm coming back to that. Sod ya. I think I've got 2 more levels left that I know of on that thing.
The city ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's 3 in the city. There's the rundown district, and then like the high tech district, and then the last level where it's just everything.
Okay, I might be missing that last one. Then I think I've got the 2 that you just mentioned. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all right. I'll keep going. It's nice going back to the earlier levels because I realise there's like some of those like extra items and things that I didn't have before, like an extra vending machine, or I didn't have the newsstand because I didn't do the first level or something.
It's weird how like just a few of the like items unlock through like completing missions, whereas everything else is just kudos.
Yeah, the kudos or sometimes research. Yeah.
Not very much though. It was weird how like I felt like they could have utilized the research system quite a lot more than they did.
Yeah, probably.
Because you can easily finish all of the research way before you actually get to the end of the game.
Oh, I mean, I haven't. I've still got loads to do. But...
And then it's just like, don't even bother building a research room unless you want to grind it for cash. But then that's such an annoying, like, constant pop-up where it's like, oh, this research job is completed. Go to the menu and start another one of the exact same thing to get more money. Do that every week.
A tiny amount of money.
Yeah. But you can just automate it to continuously do that over and over.
You're probably better you're probably better grinding the kudos if you haven't unlocked everything anyway. But...
Yeah.
So there's that. I finished the single-player campaign of Grip. So I played quite a bit of that. I got into a sort of rhythm with it, where I sort of found my zen almost a little bit with it, and wasn't having too hard a time controlling it anymore. It made sense to just keep going with it. It still has its annoyances for sure, and like how it handles is very unforgiving, and some tracks are just unforgiving, and some of its reset points are sometimes hugely confusing, which is like, I was still kind of heading in the right direction, was about to land on the track, but you decided to reposition me miles back automatically, stuff like that, where it's just like, why did you do that? Which can be hugely frustrating. But not as frustrating as the game's parkour mode, which I tried. Carcore, yeah.
Like parkour, but with cars.
Yeah. So, in concepts, I feel like that mode has some potential. Because it's kind of like... Well, imagine if you took Super Monkey Ball, but then put the cars in it.
It's the gauntlet mode from Rush.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Except the gauntlet in Rush is just like one big level, right? But this is like a series of little challenges where it's just like, okay, can you get through the course and collect all the things as you do it? Collect all the glowing purple orbs. And like at first I thought, all right, this actually seems kind of interesting. But then, boy, does it go in a bit like Monkey Ball, I suppose. Does it go into some really friggin' awkward directions that just feel like the physics don't 100% work as they should to make that level work. Like some of the ones, especially towards the end of the chain, the hard and the nightmare levels are just like, okay, I don't know what you're asking of me here. I don't know how I get my car to do the thing that you're asking me to do. And then you go and look. I went and sort of cheated a bit, I suppose, and looked up some videos of like, okay, how do I actually do that? Like, what is the way to do that? And I go like, all right, well, I did have the idea. I can just never make my car do that. They are so unbelievably hard and so unbelievably variable, it feels like, and the physics just, I don't know, there are certain jumps where you take off from a jump in the exact same way and you'll get 4 or 5 different results. It's like, that jump sent me the same speed, made me gain the appropriate amount of height. This jump, I got the same amount of height, but my car is flipping out wildly. And it's like, I just couldn't figure out what the consistent rules were for them. So it's like, it became just far too frustrating to do. I suppose a little bit like Super Monkey Ball, to be fair. I don't know. If I had a little bit more presentation put into it and a little more thought on their course design, then that mode could have been something a little more interesting. And I guess the same thing is true of the actual game. It's like, I think that game falls down a little bit on some of its course design just being too complex. They don't give the game enough room to breathe, which is something that I noticed immediately because I went and played a little bit of Wipeout Omega Collection as well.
Oh, classic.
And I went back to it and it was just like, oh my god, the course design in this is fantastic. It's
yes.
like there are straights. It's the thing you don't sort of necessarily associate with good course design is like, oh, you need some straights every now and then.
Straightaways, yeah.
It's like, don't get me wrong, Grip has a few here and there, but like they're often pretty quick, and there's just like a huge tight mess of stuff, and you're always having to wrestle the car, and you've only got just enough time to wrestle the car back into some sort of stability before you've got to worry about the next corner, or you're getting blown up or weaponed or something like that. And it's like, Wipeout was so refreshing to go and play again, even though it's something I'm very familiar with. And it's just like, this is a quality product. there's no way around it. The HD Fury and even the 2049 or whatever it is, they're quality games.
They're quality games. It's kind of cheating to put all the course design from a whole decade's worth of games in.
Well, absolutely.
But yeah.
But even under the same thing, like take it in a different way. Take the aesthetics of Wipeout, right? Wipeout's aesthetics have always been brilliant, and yeah, they've built upon it from. But even from like day one, they had a style and they had something about their
Wipeout
style.
Always had style.
Yeah, that has always worked. But then you take it into Grip, and it's like, yeah, Grip has a style, but it doesn't quite feel right.
No.
You take it into Formula Fusion or Pacer, which is so desperately trying to be Wipeout in its style, but it's not landing it. And it's just there's something.
It feels kind of effortless in Wipeout, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually think I don't know. I really like Pure and
oh yeah, those are
PSP ones.
Those are
great.
Like,
I think
Pure and Pulse
are great
games as well.
They did kind of peak it quite early on, like 2097 and Wipeout 3, I think.
Wipeout 3, man.
Yeah.
That's a stylish ass game.
They were having fun at the time, weren't they?
Oh yeah. And it's just, and it's as you say, effortless is the word. It's like they don't seem to have to try. Like, the areas. I still think the PS4 version, the Omega Collection, isn't the tightest remake they could have made. There are problems. There are some levels where you look up at the sky, right, and the camera does a little pan around at the start and shows you what's going on. And there's supposed to be I think it's Metropia. There's supposed to be cars, like flying cars, like lines of traffic, like crisscrossing in the sky. Except where they crisscross, there's like a transparent layer that masks the cars going in the other direction. So the cars sort of stop, go into nothing, and let the vertical line cut across, and then they come out the other side. Right. And it's like, that's a weird mistake to have.
It's like the traffic in SimCity 2000.
Well, yeah.
Like weird, like black light, like blobs going over individual tiles on the road.
Yeah, there's just oddities about the conversion that haven't quite worked, and like some of the, I don't know, like I think some of the effects haven't translated that well from the PS3 to the PS4 version. Like they seem oddly transparent in places, but
some of the stuff I don't think came that well, even between like the PSP and like whatever. Not Fury.
HD.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, because HD borrowed quite a lot of stuff from old Wipeout games. Yeah, to a certain extent, you're right.
But
still, like, yeah, just on raw design, those games are great. they're just great. And even on the other flip, you know, if you want to take that whole style and that consistency thing, you put it on the other side, like go the other direction and look at Fast Racing Neo and F-Zero. They too have somehow managed to pull off a convincing, consistent style that works for them.
Yeah.
It's not the same style, but it somehow works.
Yeah.
That very few other anti-grav or future racing games just can't seem to get there. Even Redout with its bold, hey, let's go for like some flat triangle looking shading and make everything a bit harsher and a bit sharper. That doesn't stick the landing either, even though that's probably the closest I've come to finding a anti-grav racer that works outside of those series.
Because you kind of think, how hard can it be? And then you realise, oh no,
somehow no one get it. Very few people get it right. Yeah, it is super tricky. But hell, Wipeout, that was a good time. Also, weirdly, I had problems, I think, when I played it the last time about, you know, its soundtrack just wasn't as good as the PS3 version, that's still true.
Yeah.
But the PS4, I don't know, I liked the PS4 version more this time I played it. I don't know why. I think I got into it a bit more. I think I was more forgiving of it this time. Maybe because it's been so long since I played the PS3 version. Maybe it's that simple. But yeah, so there was that. I played some Wargroove. I'm trying to get through that because I've got time. I can sink some more time into a bit of a strategy game. Yeah, not a huge amount to add there, just that it's good. I've got to, you know, it's introducing naval stuff pretty late. But that seems fun. That's a nice twist on how some of the battles play out. I'm getting the full balance of ground, air, and sea now, which is nice. Works quite well. I think my only real major gripes with Wargroove come from the, you know, the lack of the commander abilities aren't all that meaningful, generally, but I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it lies to you, like I don't know. You can do this thing where you can look at an enemy unit, and if you highlight it, it will show you where it can move and where its possible attack range is.
Right.
So you'll plan to that and be like, right, I'll just sit just outside its attack range and it'll be fine. And then it comes to their turn and then you're somehow in the attack range and you're like, how did that happen? And it's like, sometimes, yeah, that's me cocking up because I've moved a unit or I've dispatched a unit out of the way. So the route it would take to get to the place has changed since I looked it up. So it took a different route to get there. But other times, it's just I just can't figure out what happened. It's just like, but what you said you couldn't attack there, and then you attacked there. Like, what just happened? Which is super frustrating when that happens. I just haven't been able to figure out why on those occasions. Like I said, it's not all the time. I make mistakes, but sometimes it doesn't. I just can't figure it out. Still cool though. Still enjoying it. Oh man, what else is there? We talked about Call of Duty. Did we talk about Call of Duty Warzone last podcast? I suppose we did. Yeah,
briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, haven't gone back to that hugely, just because when it patches the entire game. So I've had like 90 gigs to download.
Oh god.
Again.
That sucks.
It's stupid.
It's actually a situation that's worse than dirt.
Yeah, it is.
With its 30 gig every time patch.
They did put up a notice saying, hey, we realise that some people have been having problems downloading updates, and then when both Kips and I were able to download the update, we realised it was hundreds of gigs. Like, it's just like, why? Just why?
It's not so much problems as like data caps.
Yeah, it's I don't know if if this giant patch was what it was intended. Like, maybe that's just a mistake, and they were like, well, the way around it is to just make everyone download the game again for now, and that the future updates will be smaller. But good God, is that worrying? I mean, Apex does a pretty bad job with its updates just being huge anyway, and Origin doesn't help because it can't deal with updates very well.
Yeah.
But boy, that's the worst I've seen it for. And then the annoying thing was that parallel to that, Overwatch was updating, and it's like, yeah, I've got a few hundred megs to do, no big deal.
We better wrap this up because I need to get food. Apparently.
Yeah, this is a good point for me
We're
to
out of
stop.
time.
I've played a lot of games.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I finished a Scapegoat too.
You should have made a video of that.
Maybe, yeah. I think that game's biggest problem is that it's one of those, hey, you don't know what any of these buttons do until you push them style puzzles.
Mm.
So it's a lot of trial and error. And I didn't do all the puzzles at the end because a lot of them ended up being optional towards the end of the game. And it's just like, well, these all suck. So.
Right. How's it going with the old video content other than not being able to record them?
We've got one video in the hopper. Assault
In the
Android
hopper.
Cactus and Steam Remote Play. Our little test there. Well, I'll put that up at some point.
We'll see.
We'll try and do some other video at some point. Maybe next weekend. We'll get you involved, Dan. Get something
it's
going.
a long weekend, so might be some.
Yeah, maybe try the YouTube stream option, or maybe if we can think of a local co-op game, let's all get into something and try something.
Yeah, if you can figure something out, that'd be cool.
Yeah, ideas on a postcard.
Indeed. And we will be back in a couple of weeks for another quarantine cast. Eat your salad. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, pretty much.
To hell with that. I'm having pizza tonight.
That's our medical advice.
Yeah.
Your salad eat.
Your salad. You're going to get pizza? I'm going to try and make pizza now.
I don't even know what food I'm about to have. I just know it's there.
If I could find the ingredients, I would be all over trying to make a pizza again.
Yeah.
Because it goes pretty... This year's pizza day, I managed to get it pretty great. So I'd like to have another go at it and make sure that wasn't just a fluke. But I've not been able to find the ingredients. They're just the flour in particular.
Oh yeah, flour's a problem.
Just doesn't exist.
Because everyone suddenly thought, time to bake.
Yep. Doesn't help that Bake Off the Professionals is starting on TV again soon.
Fucking hell.
Because they filmed it all before everything went bad.
Shut the fuck up about your sourdough bullshit.
Yes, so many people are doing sourdough.
I care about the sourdough.
So many people are doing it like with proper starter cultures as well on my Twitter feed.
Just go away. Oh well, never mind. We'll all be over one day.
They're all preparing for the apocalypse when you'll need to know how to make bread.
They will be the most powerful people in society.
The sourdough bread makers. The most artisan of survivalists.
Are they going to... Well, we're actually going to have, like, real value in the artisan shit there.
Bring back that classic podcast moment.
You got to bring that back. Right, cool. Catch you next time, listeners.
Bye.
Bye.
I haven't pushed the stop button yet. I'm going to have to actually stand up.
If you had pushed the start button, that would be a problem.
Oh,